With so many disasters that have happened lately, including Hurricane Helene and now Hurricane Milton, I wanted to make sure that it was easier for you to apply for disaster assistance through FEMA. My name is Nurse Eunice. I am not affiliated with FEMA, nor do I work with FEMA, but I help simplify processes and applications for many people, and I want to do the same for you. So let's head over to disasterassistance.gov. This is an official website of the United States government. So if you go to a website and they're asking for you to pay to complete this application, you are not in the correct spot. You want to go to disasterassistance.gov. When you're on the site, it will say, "Do you need help after a disaster?" And if so, let's get started. They also have this in Espanol. So if you speak Spanish and you need assistance or you want to complete your application in Spanish, you would just select Espanol. All right, so let's get started. After you go through the verifications to prove that you're not a robot, it's going to ask you, what is your location of loss? You can say, use my current location, or you can enter a zip code. I'm going to enter a zip code for the Jacksonville, Florida area. You would use a zip code for your location: North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, and or wherever your disaster occurred. You can also choose to enter either your territory, which is your state, or your city. Now it's going to ask you which disaster affected you. Hurricane Milton is not uploaded yet. However, we expect for it to hit Florida within the next few hours. So by the time you're viewing this video, if Hurricane Milton isn't showing, just give it a few hours and go back. I will go ahead and say Hurricane Helene and then select next. All right, because I entered my zip code, it has already selected my county. Now let's read the individual assistance. FEMA may be able to help you with home repairs, temporary housing, or property damage, for example, appliances, furniture, vehicles, etc. You may also qualify for help with childcare, medical, lodging, moving, and funeral expenses. First, we'll ask you about your needs. Second, we'll help you create an account or sign into login.gov. And then third, you'll come back to disasterassistance.gov to finish and submit your application to FEMA. It's okay if you don't have all of the details for your application now. After you create an application, you can save your progress and come back to finish it later. If you have business losses, there's also a section for business losses. And for those who seek unemployment assistance, it refers you back to your state's program, and it states that each state handles their own unemployment benefit programs. So there are multiple ways for you to get help, but right now we're going to start off with individual assistance. All right, so what assistance do you need? Check all that apply. You don't need to have everything listed in any one choice. If even part of the choice fits your case, you still need to choose it. So property damage, vehicle damage, or personal property damage. You can select all or whichever ones apply to your emergency. Emergency needs. Do you need food, clothing, shelter, gas, medication, or medical equipment? What about essential utilities like electric, gas, water, or maybe your sewer service is out? Maybe home access. Is your entryway blocked with trees, or do you need an accessibility ramp because of a disability? Other expenses. Did one of your relatives or family members die in this recent storm? So if so, you may need assistance with funeral or reburial expenses. Lodging, such as hotel, motel, medical or dental expenses, new or extra childcare costs, or home safety items such as chainsaws, smoke detectors, and dehumidifiers. The note says we can't provide money for losses already covered by insurance. So if you have insurance that may cover them, contact the company to file a claim as soon as possible. You don't have to file your insurance claim before you apply with FEMA. So here, if you have homeowners insurance and maybe rental insurance, they're going to ask that you actually contact your insurance carrier first, because again, FEMA will not cover you. They won't provide you as disaster assistance if you already have insurance that should be doing so. So this is what I said in my application, that I have home or personal property damage, an emergency need, and other expenses. And now it's asking me to please select one of the following. It wants to know if the address for the zip code that I'm going to be entering, if it's my primary home that I've lived at for more than 6 months, or is it my vacation or second home? And I'm going to put primary home. Be very careful with the information you're entering here, because a lot of times the applications are denied or rejected. Denial could happen because you're saying you don't really have a need, so make sure you're filling this out correctly, or you're saying that you have insurance. And so if you have insurance, FEMA expects for you to go to that insurance company first. So before we move on, let's review the needs you chose. And as you recall, these are the leads. As you recall, these are the needs that I chose. I stated we had home damage, vehicle damage, property, personal property damage, that we need assistance with food, clothing, shelter, gas, medication, and or medical equipment. We need help with utilities. We need help accessing our home, and we also need lodging expenses. I selected Hurricane Helene for this particular demonstration, but remember, Hurricane Milton is approaching. So if Hurricane Milton was not one of your options, just check back in a few hours to disasterassistance.gov, and hopefully that hurricane, that disaster will be there. Do not submit the application utilizing the incorrect hurricane or the incorrect disaster. And so it lets us know the disaster dates for Hurricane Helene. And you want to please confirm the date of your losses, because this is just my simulation. I'm going to put today's date, which is October the 9th. It's asking me to confirm the date. We need to check if the state is on the disaster declaration. Don't forget, for the state of Florida, pretty much every county right now is declared a disaster area because of the impending storm, Hurricane Milton, and its size. It also states that we can't process your application unless your loss date is on the declaration. If your losses happen on a different date than the disaster dates, you should still apply now. If your date is added later, we will process your application right away. We also suggest you contact your county emergency management agency to report your damage. So now let's discuss the type of damages. What has caused your losses? Check all that apply. You don't need to have everything listed in any one choice. Even if part of one choice fits your case, you still need to choose it. And so for hurricane related damage, more than likely it's going to be hurricane, hail, rain, wind driven rain. If your property actually has flooded, you would select flood. Do you have any seepage? And here's the definition for seepage. Seepage happens from under the ground. Water leaks inside slowly through small holes, cracks, or pores in surfaces. So whatever applies to you is what you would choose. If you select other damage not listed here, that's when you get the options for earthquake, fire, lava, ash, ice, and snow. But I'm going to deselect that. All right, so now we are able to create an account online. So before you can move on, you need to create an account on login.gov. You can also link to an existing account if you already have one. Login.gov is a secure service that lets you create one account to connect with any government agency that uses it. They also have their own support team. So if you have problems creating your account or signing in, you can contact them directly. When you click sign in or create an account below, you'll go to the login.gov site. Then just follow the instructions. When you create an account, this links your application to it so you can easily access it later, and your information is always secure. After you get set up or signed in, you'll come back to disasterassistance.gov to fill out your application. If you want to learn more, you can read what's in login.gov. If you have questions, you can also find some answers about login.gov and accounts in the common text sections of our frequently asked questions page. then discuss their Privacy Act and their Declaration of Eligibility. I'm going to select that I have read it and that I accept the privacy statement, and that I declare that I or someone in my household is a citizen, non-citizen national, or a qualified non-citizen of the United States. So that means that not only can citizens of the U.S. Actually apply for FEMA aid, but also non-citizens who are qualified, they can also apply too. So now let's sign in or create our account. And I know this is a long process, but the other way is just as long. You can go to a FEMA location if there's one in your area, and I'll show you how to find that. You can actually find it on the home page of disasterassistance.gov, or you can try calling the toll-free number. From what I've been told, it's just easier to do it online versus waiting on hold for so long. So disasterassistance.gov is using login.gov to allow you to sign in securely and safely and securely. I'm going to create an account. I'm going to enter my email address. And again, this is just for teaching purposes so that you would know how to create an account. It lets you select your language preference, whether it's English, Spanish, or French. Actually click and read the rules of use. I'm just going to go ahead and click it now, and I'm going to submit, which will then send an email. So I'm going to check my emails. It says we have sent an email with a link to confirm your email address. Follow the link to continue creating your account. You can close this window if you're done. All right, so now that I have confirmed my account, it's going to ask me to create a strong password. In creating your password, it must be 12 characters or longer, and you can't use common phrases or repeated characters like ABC or 111. Once you have entered your password, re-enter it, and it lets me know that my password strength is great and that I can continue. Now for the authentication method setup, an additional layer of protection to your login.gov account by selecting a multi-factor authentication method. We recommend you select at least 2 different options in case you lose one of your methods. And because I am just doing this for training purposes, I am only going to select one, and I'm going to use text or voice message. I'm going to enter a number that can receive text messages. And then I'm going to select send a code. Once you receive the code that was sent to your text message, you would enter the code in this section. You can also select remember this browser, and then you could submit. All right, so now it says you've added your first authentication method, add a second backup method, and I'm just going to skip for now. And now it gives me the opportunity to continue or to go back to disasterassistance.gov now that I have created my login.gov account. And now I can go and complete my FEMA disaster relief application. All right, so I'm going to need the following to complete my application. I'm going to need a social security number. I'm going to need to know the annual household income, including your household's pre-disaster income before you deduct anything, contact information, insurance information. This includes the type of coverage and insurance companies, and then the bank account information. Include the name of your bank account or financial company and the routing and or account numbers. Now they have a paperwork burden disclosure that I will also ask for you to read. And I know this can be really frustrating because you probably, some of you have lost everything. You don't have this information. So fill it out to the best of your ability. And then start expecting phone calls from an unknown number. That could be the coordinator, someone who is calling you from disasterassistance.gov in order to help you. If you're unable to unload documents, they're going to be calling you. So sometimes when your application isn't denied, it is delayed because you don't answer the phone. And I understand sometimes there are power outages, there are Wi-Fi outages, but if you submit this application, just do your due diligence and try to check your messages and answer your phones more frequently. All right, so application help. Attention, if you need to finish your application later, you must save it first. If you don't, you'll have to start over. To save your application, you must use sign out at the top screen and choose save and exit option. All fields with an asterisk are required. Click the information icon to get more help. The green bar at the top of each screen shows your progress through the application. Then it talks about the navigation buttons, which are next, skip, and back. And then it shows your menu icons. You can also review your applications before you submit it. If you need help, if you need someone else to if you need to apply for someone else, maybe you're applying for your grandparent. Sometimes a person affected by a disaster is not able to apply for themselves. In these cases, FEMA allows someone else to apply for them as long as they can give us all of the information we need. If you'll be helping someone else through the process, they must give FEMA a signed release of information. So if you click this hyperlink, you will be able to generate the PDF that the person who you are assisting must complete, a form that will allow you to access their file. Remember, it's important you understand that your application becomes a legal document. FEMA may use outside sources to verify the information that you enter. So please be honest so that there won't be any legalities after you submit this application in order to receive your $750 FEMA grant for emergency relief. So our application center, personal information. Let's go ahead and start entering our information. To qualify for FEMA assistance, the person named here as the applicant must be a U.S. citizen, non-citizen national, or qualified non-citizen. If you need to apply under a qualified minor child who lives in your household, you must enter the child's information as the applicant. And so I am just going to make up a name because we're just doing this for training purposes to teach you how to complete the application. So I'm going to say Nancy B. Smart. All right, so we have Nancy B. Smart. We're going to go ahead and make up a social for Nancy B. Smart. All right, so for our application, I've entered the name as Nancy B. Smart. I'm going to enter a fictitious Social Security number for Nancy. I'm going to enter a date of birth. It shows the email address that we have created or that we added via the login.gov account. I'm going to enter a phone number. And it's going to give me an option to select the type. I'm going to say that's a sale. And if you have an alternate number, you can list it there. Is there a co-applicant? If there is a co-applicant, the person must live in your home. They will have full access to ask for I apologize. So if there's a co-applicant, this person must live in your home. They will have full access to ask for or update information on the application when they call the FEMA helpline. They will not be able to access the online account. So you must list a parent or guardian as the co-parent when you apply under a qualified minor. For our application, we do not have a co-applicant, so we're going to continue. And now it's saving the application, and we went from 15% progress to 21%. And so we're going to enter the address of loss. And remember that this is just for training purposes. So we really don't have an address of loss. All right, we're entering our city. The state was pre-populated because of the zip code that we chose and also the storm that we chose. The county is also pre-populated, and we're going to say that we rent this location. Which type of home was damaged? We're going to say that it is a there we go, house, single, or duplex. We're going to say that this is also our mailing address. If you deselect or if you select no, if you get your mail in the P.O. box, select no. So as far as the mailing address is concerned, let's say that you receive your mail at a P.O. box, which if you lost your home, that's probably going to be the best option for you. You would select no and then enter the information for the P.O. box or the additional address. All right, so this is the address of loss that I have entered. Now, what I want you to be mindful of is that it's not going to allow me to go any further because I have a fictitious name, a fictitious social security number. And so you would continue and answer all of the other items, such as the extent of the damage, home access, critical needs, essential utilities, home insurance, the occupants, the vehicle damage, the income information, banking information, notifications, disability needs, other needs, demographics, and then you have an option to review your application. If you do find that you need assistance, you can always contact the FEMA helpline. And the FEMA helpline for questions about your application or information in your account or to make updates, you can call the FEMA helpline at 1-800 621 3362. The hours of operation are from 7 a.m. until 10 p.m. based on your time zone, 7 days a week. If you use a video relay service, a VRS, captioned telephone, CTS, or other service, give FEMA your number for that service. For technical help or other questions about site errors, you can contact the FEMA help desk. And there is one more thing that I want to show you. So I'm going to sign out of this. Remember, I'm going to delete this application because it just was for training purposes. So if you want to look for your local resources, you can also find that on disaster.gov. And you would find that in our area, Jacksonville, Florida, we have our Red Cross shelters that are open. If you want to go to a FEMA disaster recovery center, it lets us know the nearest locations. We have one in Glen St. Mary, Florida, Lake City, Gainesville, and also Bradford, Florida. If you need to apply for business losses, you would go to the Small Business Administration and read the SBA disaster assistance page to learn about low interest disaster loans for businesses and for homeowners. And this is a list of disasters based on what state. And again, if you're in the state of Florida, right now, Milton is not going to be listed. However, give it a few hours, and I'm sure they will update the system to show Milton. We have application deadlines also shown. If you need additional assistance, you can select the Help tab, and from the Help tab, you will go to Contact Us. And as you scroll down the page, you will see the information for the FEMA helpline that you can also call. And then if you need to ask IA, if you want to contact FEMA, if you want to contact them via email, we also have the email address listed there. So again, this is Nurse Eunice. I'll be praying for you as you all pray for me. Not sure what time we're going to be losing power, if we lose it at all. However, I'll be praying for you all as well. And thank you all for watching. Please share this video with others who may need assistance.